So, I was doing graduate work at the University of Wisconsin in political science, and I decided I didn't want to do it because I wasn't going to get a PhD, and I figured, why get a master's? And it was like, the program had started really early, so I had sent applications to law school for the following year, but I was going to come back to California and work in Sacramento at the Department of Consumer Affairs, and then I was going to go to law school the following year. So the University of Chicago sent me a letter saying, since you're in Madison, if you're ever down in Chicago, come by for an interview. So it was October, like 12th or 14th or something like that. And I was flying back to LA. I left Madison, and I had a 6-hour layover in Chicago at O'Hare, and then I was flying back to California. So I left everything at the airport, and I went to the law school, and I had an interview with the dean, and we talked about literally nothing for like 3 or 4 minutes. We talked about nothing. So then he said, how'd you like to go to law school? And I said, that's kind of a dumb question. I said, I just spent $20 in a cab ride. Of course I want to go to law school. So he said, no, you don't understand. He said, somebody just dropped out of the first year class. Do you want a spot? And I said, there's no way I can do that. I said, I literally have a flight in like 3 hours. I've got a job in Sacramento. I got an apartment in Sacramento. I have absolutely no money. You're in the quarter system. You've finished almost 2 weeks of instruction. I'd be hopelessly behind. No place to live. Blah, blah, blah. So he looked at me and he said, you really worry too much. And he said, the problem is this. He said, this is a great law school, right? And he said, if, we just go through the normal thing, you might get in, but what if you don't? What if we reject you? He said, you could get in for sure now. But if you wait, who knows? You may get in, you may not get in. So I started thinking about it, and I thought, what the blank? And I said, okay. And he said, well, here's the thing. He said, I really can't admit you right now. I have to convene the admissions committee. So see if you can postpone your flight and somehow get your bags off the flight. And I still don't remember how I did that, but I did, and I had all these boxes of books and everything. Somehow I was able to move it to another flight. And because today I don't think you can even do that. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And I was sitting in the Green Lounge, which is the lounge at the law school, and he convened the admissions committee, and I waited a couple of hours, I think. I mean, it was a while. And then the dean comes out and he says, good news. He said, they just admitted you. Or we just admitted you. They just met. And I said, great. I said, where do I sleep tonight? Because I got absolutely no place to even sleep. And he said, you can stay with the registrar. So he gave me the address. And he said, go back to the airport and get your bags. So I go to the airport. I get all my stuff. And again, I don't remember how I was able to get all this. I don't remember how it worked, but I think I was on a much later flight or whatever. So I get to the airport, get my stuff, I get in the cab. And the cab driver is on the Dan Ryan Expressway, and we're driving back, and the cab driver says, where are you from? And I said, I'm from LA. And he said, I grew up in Boyle Heights. And I said, my dad grew up in Boyle Heights. And then he said, well, you must be a
Oh my God.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, it's like, So he pulls off the freeway, but this time we're down by
No, that's fine. I get it.
deep into South Chicago. South side of Chicago, baddest part of town, Leroy Brown, the whole thing, that's where I was. So he pulls a knife on me, and he takes all my money. And for some reason, this sounds crazy, but for some reason, he let me out of the cab and gave me my stuff. I actually got my stuff out of the trunk, and it's sitting on the street, in the middle of the street.
Oh my God.
And I had no idea. I was in a really dangerous part of town. I had no idea that it was that dangerous. And I actually got somebody to take me to the registrar's house, which is crazy because I hitchhiked, because I had absolutely no ability to do anything. And I went to Mrs. Barber's house, who was the registrar, and I stayed with Mrs. Barber. And then the next day, I was a law student, and I went to class, and I thought, I will never survive this. I survived the cab ride, but I will never survive the law school because I have no idea what anybody's saying because I'm 2 weeks behind, and it was, and I had no place to live in. I mean, I still had to find a place to live, and it was the craziest.
That is so insane.
It was it was insane. It was insane. And nobody would let me in a study group because they all assumed I was going to flunk out because I would. And I didn't realize everybody was confused. I assumed that I didn't know what was going on because I missed 2 weeks. And I had no idea that everybody else was confused too. So it was a bizarre quarter. In fact, and I was so sure that I flunked out after the first quarter that I bought a one-way ticket home for Christmas break. I really thought I flunked out.
That's funny.
I was that convinced I flunked out. And that was crazy.
That's a good story, though.
That was crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That was crazy. But I am grateful to the University of Chicago because it changed my life.
You still use the bag.
I said, oh, look.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So that's my story.
Alrighty.
Bye, guys.
Hi guys, this is Anna. I want you guys to subscribe to our YouTube page because we have lots of super fun videos coming up, and you know, you guys can put down in the comments like what sort of funny stuff you guys want us. Give me that pillow. Subscribe.